It is good to be in the house of God. After a busy work week and all the chores, it is good to separate and come together as brothers and sisters. Today, as you guys have observed and you guys have heard, it is Master Guide Day here at Willowdale. Under direction of our director, Jasmine Lawrence, our theme is, "This is my story, this is my song." The Sabbath School program was based on the story, and the first service and now the second service is based on the song. So I am your first speaker speaking about my song. If you're here today to hear a Bible thumping, fire and brimstone service, it's not going to happen. Instead, you're going to hear of testimonies. I think in my Sabbath school one day someone said, "We don't share testimonies anymore." So here we are sharing a testimony. I hope you are inspired. I hope you are encouraged. And I hope you are motivated in your mission. Okay, so there are many Christian songs that I love. I love music. I love songs. There are songs that make me weep, and there are songs that makes me sing and dance in praise. I am a very youngish person. I describe myself as a youngish person. I am never going to grow old. But I have an old soul. The reason why I say that is because when it comes to songs, I go back to the hymns. I love the hymns. Now, maybe it's because of my childhood growing up in the Adventist church. Back in Trinidad, they sang the hymns over and over and over. I didn't have the choice of falling asleep. I had to stay awake and hear the hymns or participate. Or maybe it's because the hymns were the songs that my mom sang whenever she wanted peace, strength, comfort, guidance, and hope. So sing them over again to me, those wonderful hymns. Now, in saying that, my story, my life does not reflect a hymn. My life, however, looks more like a very dramatic opera. If it was to put in song, it would be under the direction of our own Len Bourne, and we would have laughter, activities happening at the same time, running here, running there, just the average day in my life. Nonetheless, I turn to the hymns and it brings it all together. So I give God thanks. Now, my song in service here at Willowdale when it comes to dealing with, working with the children is "Lead Them, My God, to Thee." It's a song of my heart in serving. As a mother, the song is at the forefront of my mind and my silent prayer. I may have shared with you in the past that I come from a very large, extended, blended family. Therefore, I expected to have a very large family. But after having two boys back to back, Zachary and Nathan, Lynn and I said no. Because the pediatrician said to us, he said, if you go and try for the girl, you're going to get another boy. So we didn't want to chance it. Already two boys? No. But even though the pediatrician said that and we said no, God had another plan for me. My youngest son, Nathan, he started in the Eager Beaver class here in the Adventurous Club at age 5, which means I served for 5 years in the Adventurous Club, and I still have my cherished uniform. I was not one to sit back, so obviously I gave my talent to God's service. As a child, I dreamt of being a flight attendant, an actress, and a dancer. I know, eh? An Adventist child wanted to be a dancer. But through serving in the church, my dream was realized. And also, I found I have the knack for teaching. Now, you may ask, how was that realized? How was your dream realized? Well, let me break it down. Well, there are some days I must act. Even though when I'm feeling well, I must act because I have to serve. I love to serve. Sometimes to bring a story to life or for the lesson to be relatable, the actress in me comes out. I love drama. When you're dealing with children, you cannot just stand straight. You have to become the character and tell the story to keep their attention. That's for the acting. How does the dancing? Well, there's a lot of fancy footworking I do on every Sabbath I'm here at Willowdale. Sometimes I'm here, before you know it, you're talking to me, I'm over there, and I'm downstairs, I'm at the front. That's me. That's my fancy footwork and my dancing. Dancing in the spirit. My feet gets me from here to there. Now, for the flight attendant part, well, I didn't give up on that dream because now I have on a uniform. Back in the day, the flight attendants had on a nice suit, especially Air Canada flight attendants. I can wear a jacket. The jacket is optional, but I'm more of a non-jacket type person. And a requirement for a flight attendant, you need to have good customer service skills. And I think I'm pretty good interacting with people here. And also, I have met people from around the world without going anywhere. Hello? Okay, so far so good. And then I'm an expert at cleaning up. Have you ever seen me clean up over there and the carpet? So there you go, dream realized. After Adventurers, I transitioned to the Pathfinder Club without missing a beat. I had decided to take a break, but Ms. Walker asked me to join the club, and the rest is history. It is very good when people can see more than the obvious. They look past it and they see your capabilities. I give thanks to Ms. Walker for the invitation to join the Pathfinder Club. The first class I supported made such a lasting impression on me that I decided to stay. I was planning to try it out because I was really tired. They were a rambunctious group of boys. You may not think they're rambunctious, but today I would like to say thanks to Manny. You guys know Manny, Roger's son. My friend Daniil, Kevin Lal, another rambunctious boy. Some of you guys remember Matthias Brueggemann, Daniel Bello, my good friend Rainer, and his sidekick Omari. Yep, I was destined to work with boys. Actually, there was one young lady there, but she was Pastor Anderson's daughter, so she left when her dad left. Yep, I was stuck with the boys, and the words of the pediatrician came back. To me, I have more boys. But God did not forget his servant Merlene, as he blessed me over the years with lots of girls to offset the boys, if that is ever possible. I am no Abraham, but I too have been blessed with many sons and daughters. To them, I am Tita Merles, Counselor Merle, Auntie Merlene, Fit Merles, Miss Merlene, and now Director Merlene. I have experienced so many highs that the lows are almost immediately forgotten. One of my favorite memories in the Master Guide ministry, last year we went camping. Just Jasmine got us all together and we went camping up in Halton Hills. Now, in a time when you have the teens, the youth, screen time, I had the opportunity to sit around a campfire at around 11 p.m. to hearing young boys and girls playing a game of manhunt, laughing and having the time of their lives. The flashlights were going, the screaming, and everything was just wonderful. And I gave God thanks. And for those of you who remembered my children's story earlier this year, there wasn't a skunk in sight. It was all good. I give God thanks. The role of the Master Guide is also to support the youth ministry. So I also serve as a Sabbath school teacher for both the early teens and the youth class. I have served for several years, which has provided me with the opportunity to connect and be a part of these children's life. I'm better because of it. I joined the Master Guide ministry so I can become a more effective servant, to help children have a lasting and meaningful experience when we're here at Willowdale. That no matter where they go and whatever they do, they would remember the teachings of their youth. We're not the only ones preaching to them. The world is enticing them to leave the God of their forefathers and choose other gods. Their challenges are real and overwhelming at times. I am thankful for the Master Guide ministry for the effort and work that goes into our youth. So much to share, but most importantly, I implore you to keep the children of Willowdale in your prayers. Pray for their leaders. Pray for the various ministries that supports them. I do not know what the future holds for me, but I pray I will always use every opportunity to lead these children of mine to God. At this time, if you have fallen asleep, I'm going to ask you to stand to sing my song, number 653, Lead Them, My God, to Thee.
Happy Sabbath, church. My name is Janelle. I will be reading a poem, and this poem is basically about us expressing our love to one another. And the poem's called Love Thy Neighbor. Let us strive to serve the Master and to judge not any soul. Let us toil a little faster, get our lives within control. Speak no evil of your neighbor, though you find this sometimes hard. You will find the world more sunny when you clean your own backyard. The Lord knows we are not that perfect. He forgives us for our flaws. So let's strive a little harder to live up to all his laws. Let us help the erring neighbor, be forever on your guard, and the folks will find you nicer when you clean up your own backyard. Keep your tongue from speaking evil, others' faults, tell not a soul. Crush down rumors ere you hear them, help to make the sinners whole. We should strive to help our neighbor, their good works do not stop. Be not idle too, quite busy cleaning up your own backyard. When you have your yard in order, sow some seeds of peace and love to rich bloom, where they'll be rooted and all evil growth removed. As you strive to please the Master, you'll receive a great reward. You will find life with a purpose when you clean your own backyard. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath, church. So instead of talking about this is my song, I'll be talking about this is my story. So I'll be talking about my adventure and Pathfinder to Master Guide experience. As a kid, I remember attending adventures with my siblings, and most of my favorite memories are made possible through adventures to Pathfinder and now Master Guide training. As a kid, I never thought much about adventures. I honestly thought it was just a time to play with friends and run around doing activities with my other friends. I learned about God at a young age through connecting with other kids and learning about the Bible through coloring sheets. Through attending and having constant support from my parents during adventures and Pathfinders, it gave an opportunity for my siblings and I to find who we are as individuals and what our purpose is. During Pathfinder was the time I met such great friends and made such amazing memories. But although camping and all the fun activities were done, I grew fond of learning more about God while surrounded by others who share the same faith as I did. I created lasting friendships within the Pathfinder Club, and it really isn't a group of people, but is really a family who laughs, support, and learns together. After finishing the Pathfinder classes came the Master Guide and Training program. This program is currently teaching us how to be the best leaders we can possibly be, to help others and bring people to Christ. Through my experience of being a Master Guide in Training, I participated in positively impacting children through visiting Moosonee, a reserved area up north. And working with the children up north is a unique experience. It taught me about patience and the value of teaching children and how precious they are. Children have the capability to learn and do so much than what we credit them. The MGT program allowed me to work with the Adventure Club, and it's such a blessing to volunteer and connect with the children through teaching them about God. A verse I always keep close to my heart is Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. I believe through the little things such as volunteering to help and impact someone is truly a blessing. It's important to have faith that God will lead you to inspire, learn, teach, and impact others positively.
Good afternoon, church. Before I begin, I'm impressed to talk about the Blue Christmas that's going to happen tomorrow. I remember a few years ago, I was going through particular difficult circumstances in my life, and Christmas is not the same without family around. So if you find yourself in that circumstance, make sure tomorrow evening, or tomorrow afternoon at 12:30, that you find yourself here fellowshipping and, having some fun with people that are in similar circumstances. A couple of years after that, I lost my brother, and that group was an invaluable help to me. So if you find yourself in going through life circumstances, or whether death or other circumstances, please join the group for the Blue Christmas celebration tomorrow at 12:30. Now, my song. I'm not going to sing, don't worry. I love singing too much to do that to you. Music and singing has always been an important part of my life. But the privilege is mine this morning to declare to you that God is indeed good. I can declare that because 21,553 days and 10 hours, 30 minutes ago, he has kept me from then until now. Let me repeat that. God has kept me for 21,553 days and 10 and a half hours. He has kept me in reasonably good health, both physically and mentally, despite some of my choices, some of the life choices that I've made. It was on a Saturday night, my mother having spent the day in church worshiping and just recently turned in for the night, that about 10 p.m. that God declared, it's time. 59 years, 10 days, and 10 and a half hours ago, I was born. My mom said to my dad at the time, Caleb, get the midwife, the baby is coming. And yes, that's what she said. Being from rural Jamaica, my household, we did not speak the local dialect. My grandfather was a police officer, he was a shoemaker and a farmer, but that did not stop him from insisting that his children and grandchildren speaks the Queen's English. Manners and etiquette was part of my dirt floor kitchen upbringing. To this very day, my uncle eats toast with knife and fork. At my birth, my two grandmothers and my father gave me names. Two of them I found no fault with, but with one of the names, I passionately dislike. As a child, but as an adult, I consider it a blessing and a pronouncement on my life. To say that I was loved is an understatement of the care I receive and the pride my family had at my birth. So I was told. We lived in a rural community where neighbors relied on each other and supported each other. whether it was to lay the foundation for a house, to put the roof on a house, making a coffin, digging a grave, preparing field for planting, preparing the church for Sabbath worship, Sunday night meeting, Wednesday night meeting, Friday night meeting, worshiping with the sick and the shut-in. My dad took me with him. Most of the time, as we traveled and he socialized with people along the way, I spent the time on his shoulder. His shoulder was my carriage, and when I was tired or hungry, his head was my bed or my table. So you can understand that when I was 6 years old and my dad got the opportunity to travel to make a better life, an unfillable void was created. The gravity of my world collapsed. It was the Christmas after my 7th birthday, the reality of Santa Claus came to me in the form of an empty shoebox under my bed. After my dad left to make a better life, I took to doing some of the chores, the manly chores, that he wasn't there to do, including dressing the chicken for my mother to prepare for cooking, if you know what I mean. Yes, at 6, I was the man of the house. The things I couldn't do were done by neighbors, not because they were asked, but because they knew my dad wasn't there, and when he was the first one to help, so they returned the kindness. Now, when it came to Sabbath, Sabbath was a delight. That was the day we all lived for. You go to see your friends because, again, rural community, a lot of us live far away, and some people had to walk 7 miles to church, and they walked with their food. And on Sabbath lunch, it was always a buffet. That was the only day you could serve yourself. And serve myself, I did, every Sabbath. 13 Sabbath was something I look forward to. One thing you had to do, you had to repeat every text for the entire quarter. And that for me was indeed a delight. Well, coming to Canada at 15, another void was created. My older brother, who was my protector, and my sister, my teacher and example, did not come with us. And when the bonds of family could not hold, we were all adrift in a strange, cold country. And when we finally got on our feet, when we finally got our feet on the ground, I found my way, and I realized that I was born and I was being prepared for service. At 17, when I started working, my coworkers started calling me Brother Wills. Because, all my life I've been Adventist, didn't know any other way to behave. And when I took my lunch break, they always wanted to ask, Wills, when are you taking a break? And they would sit and talk to me about their various problems in life or whatever circumstances they were going through. And they, I guess, liked the advice that I gave them. The years went by, and when I stopped fighting with God, I realized that my life was filled with happiness, meaning, and purpose when I helped others. I got immense pleasure when I helped others, and they didn't know about it. It was embarrassing at times when people thanked me for whatever I did, because after all, I wasn't really doing it for them. I was doing it as unto God. It was sometimes confusing, however, when others would criticize and question my motive for my actions. But I always kept in mind as unto God. Now, as I said before, I was blessed with a godly grandmother who gave me an heritage that I now strive to live up to, a heritage that was hidden because I didn't understand or know the meaning of that name, a name that I did not speak because of my passionate dislike for that name, a name that when my mom and my older sister used, it was used as a term of endearment, especially when I was in a bad and foul mood. That name? Elkanah. But then I looked and I understood the meaning of it. Elkanah means God the zealous, or the zeal of God. I looked further and found out that the name is Hebrew. El means God. Cana means acquired. So I understood my name means God acquired. Now, once I put that name together several years ago, I realized my service. And ever since then, I have taught in Sabbath school, usually juniors and early teens. And here at Willowdale, when my niece was born 14 years ago, it was my determination that I would help to guide her life. So 14 years ago, I brought her to Sabbath school from 3 months old. Now she is in the Ranger class in Pathfinder. But I still continue to serve. I serve as the Sabbath school teacher for the juniors, and for the next 2 years for the Adventure, as the Adventurer director. Now, when we have Adventurers function, all we have are the parents. But believe you me, you will be blessed if you come out to the event. So I'm encouraging you to save a date. Look out for April for Adventurers Day. A couple of weeks ago, I took 3 teams, and one team was 1 5-year-old, and he placed first when he studied the book of, what did we study, guys? What book? Adventurers? The book of Luke, all right? And a 5-year-old was able to place first. And I understand, and you'll see more of him come April, okay? So make sure you turn up for that event, for Adventure Day. Now, whatever your circumstances, whatever your needs, whatever you're going through, there's a few Bible texts that I've remembered from I was a child. And the first one I can think of is Ephesians 6, 1-3, that parents love to quote. You probably know it. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. They forgot the part about parents don't provoke your children. But the next one, Proverbs 22, verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Another one, Joshua 24, verse 14-15. Now, therefore, and this is the first sermon I remember my dad preaching in church, and this was the text. Now, therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth. Remove the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. If it is unable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose yourself this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your fathers whether the gods of your father or the gods of the Amorites, whose land you live in. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Amen. And then there is Micah 6, verse 8. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you except to be just and to love, and to diligently practice kindness, compassion, and to walk humbly with your God, setting aside all overblown sense of importance and self-righteousness. Now, these are some of the texts. But more important, not more importantly, but along with that, there were some songs that we sang that I remember and still sing. And one of them is, if any little word of mine may make a life brighter, if any song of mine may make a heart lighter, God, help me speak the helping words and take my little bit of singing and drop it in some lonely path to set the echoes ringing. Now, there's another one that most people might not know today, but back then we sang it pretty much all the time for MV, and that is, we have heard thy call, Lord Jesus, and our hearts respond with joy. We pledge thee our allegiance, for thy cause are all employed. These songs, these verses, is why I continue to serve, and this is why. This is the foundation for my song, my service.